First of all, it's good to see everybody. Happy Election Day. Hopefully all of you have voted. We wanted to get together very briefly and sort of outline our preparations for this storm, what we intend to do moving forward over the next couple days, and then obviously we will take any questions for any of the folks that you see here today. Obviously to my right is Chief Eric Ward, to my left Chief Tom Ford of the Tampa Fire Department, our administrator for all of our utilities, stormwater, roads, sewer, water, Brad Baird, and our emergency coordinator, Chauncey Willis. We don't know what this storm is going to do, but obviously we train for this all year round. This is not unique to our environment. We dealt with it last year, obviously, about this time when we had 11 straight days of rain. This storm is an uncertainty, but we are preparing for it as if it was an inevitability. And so part of that preparation has already started. As all of you are aware, we have made sandbags available at 3 different locations around the city. At Bobby Hicks Pool in South Tampa, the Barksdale facility in McFarland Park in West Tampa, and at Jackson Heights in East Tampa. It has been obviously very well received. People have taken advantage of it, and we have given away thousands of sandbags. We anticipate this largely to be a rain and wind event. Obviously, based on our experience here in this community, our topography does not lend itself to heavy rains. We have a lot of standing water in areas that tend to collect water, and that will be the same with this event depending on the amount of rain that comes. It could be upwards of 5 inches or higher. If that is the case, we will have flooding and standing water in the usual places where we normally have it. Our words to this community are very simple. Number one, be prepared. Have a plan, even if this is not a full-blown tropical storm or a hurricane. Every time we practice one of these, every time we go through one of these things, we need to perfect both at our own individual families and as a city, and for these departments in particular, what we go through. We learn every time we go through one of these. We learned last year as a result of that heavy rain and have taken those lessons and prepared for the next occurrence, which will probably be over the next 2 to 3 days. There are areas in our community that we all drive on a regular basis. We know where they are. We know where the areas that tend to hold water and areas that tend to be low-lying tend to flood. I can tell you right now, do not drive through standing water. That is the most important thing that I can tell you. We all saw last year the number of flooded cars and flooded vehicles as a result of people thinking that the water was shallower than what it was, driving through it, and the vehicle gets wet, stalls out, and the car owner ends up with thousands of dollars in repair bills to replace a vehicle that is flooded. Not to mention the fact that it impedes our fire vehicles and rescue vehicles from getting to the scene and getting people out if necessary. Do not drive through standing water. If we can avoid that, we can avoid 90% of the problems that we have. The water will be here for a short duration, and at some point it will recede. But those areas, particularly in South Tampa, that historically have flooded and that hold a lot of water, just avoid those at all costs. We know where those locations are. We have prepared barricades in anticipation of deploying them if necessary. Most of those barricades are pre-positioned so that we can get out there in the event of flooding. Our Humvees are being prepped. All of our assets are being prepared to deploy to assist motorists, to assist homeowners that may have flooding. Hopefully there will be no structural flooding or no intrusion of water into either commercial buildings or residential buildings, but we are prepared if that were to occur. Let me turn this over to Chief Ward. He can talk a little bit about TPD's preparation, and then we'll go down the line here, and then at that point, we'll be happy to take questions. Chief Ward.
Morning. Just from a law enforcement perspective, one thing we need to be certain of is we're uncertain of where the path of the storm will take. So it's important that the people in the community stay focused. Look for those social media feeds that identify roads that are unpassable. Do not put yourself in danger. Putting yourself in danger also endangers law enforcement and your fire rescue personnel. So please take heed. We have our high water vehicles in place. They're gassed up, ready to go. We also have product place our barricades, our sandbags in place to block off those roads. So please do not drive around the barricades. Take an alternative route to make sure that you're safe. Thank you.
Chief Forward, Tampa Fire Rescue and City of Emergency Management. Also, we want you, as the mayor has been prompting you all year long, to make certain that you have a plan in place. While we're not expecting anything major to happen before late this evening or tomorrow, it's still very important that everyone has a plan. It's so very important that in the event that we do get hit, whether or not it's heavy waters or whether or not we do have some tornadic activity, because depending on the path of the storm, from our earliest, or should I say our latest forecast this morning from the National Weather Service, especially on this side of the storm, we could have some torrential downpours from 4 to 8 inches of water, and we could have some tornadic activity as well. In the event that knocks out your utilities and things of that nature, you might be in place at your home up to 3 days, depending on how severe this damage might be. So please make certain that you have made plans. Again, if you have not got a plan in place already, you've got enough time right now to get you a plan in place. We're looking at, on this side of the storm, wind speeds up to 20 to 40 miles per hour. As many of you know, once 40 mile per hour winds are sustained, fire rescue and emergency response vehicles do not go out in that type of weather. So please understand, it's important that you have a plan in place. Make certain that those folk and all your important papers are in a waterproof type of package as well. And you've made contact with your relatives or wherever the location that you are expected to evacuate in the event that the mayor gives the evacuation call. Please be mindful to that and monitor your meteorologists and your TV channels and your weather stations as well. I'll turn it over at this time to Brad Beard.
Thank you, Chief. Brad Baird, Public Works Administrator. As the mayor said, we have 20 locations, known flooding locations, where we pre-positioned barricades that Tampa Police Department can put out immediately as it begins to flood. We are checking all of our wastewater pumping stations, all of our stormwater pumping stations, make sure they're functioning properly before the storm hits. We clean out inlets and pipeline locations. We check hot spots, we call them, to make sure they're clean. And then the wastewater system, we've done a lot of work since last August to upgrade a downtown pumping station to help preclude wastewater overflows. And we've also built a diversion pipeline in South Tampa at another overflow location. So we're in much better shape this year from a wastewater overflow standpoint. And our treatment plant capacity as well has a lot of capacity ready for the storm. So with that, I'll turn it back over to the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Chauncey Willis, Tampa Office of Emergency Management. Right now with the City of Tampa Emergency Management Office, we are readying the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, for a potential activation on Thursday. We will continue coordinating with our regional and state stakeholders to ensure that should anything happen as a result of this tropical depression, we are in a state of readiness to begin enhanced coordination. Thank you.
Two final points. Obviously, in the aftermath of this, what we think will be a rain event, we don't anticipate having to give any evacuation orders, but in the event of this event, which there will be a lot of accumulated ponding and water that will be left for a number of days until it dries out. All of you know that we are in the midst of this discussion about Zika. It is critically important that after this storm, that everyone goes out and looks in their backyard, looks on their property for any areas of standing water. If you have fountains, if you have planters, if you have pots, if you have tires in your backyard, please make sure that you empty the water out of those particular pieces of lawn furniture. We don't want to provide larvae any opportunity to grow, so any standing water, sweep it away. Any pots that are containing standing water, empty them. And the last point is, on Thursday, coincidentally, City Council will be voting on a stormwater assessment fee that I think will go a long way if they pass it, and I'm hopeful that they will. That will go a long way to alleviate a lot of these issues down the road. We are never going to cure the stormwater problem. Our topography does not lend itself to that. But I can tell you that a $250 million investment in additional capacity in our pipes, in additional pump stations, in additional clearing of retention ponds and drainage ditches and swales will go a very, very long way to alleviate this problem. It will not cure it, but I think it will be the first major step this city has taken in decades to deal with the stormwater issue and the flooding issue. So I am optimistic that City Council will vote to approve this. We have made a number of concessions in order to get City Council to finalize this. And I think, once again, we will see the necessity for this issue. This is the first time in literally decades that the city has undertaken an effort to try and deal with this in a comprehensive fashion. None of us like to raise fees. But the reality is, if we don't do it, every time we have one of these rain events, we will continue to have these problems. So the choice will be for the City Council: do we kick the can down the road for future generations and future administrations, or do we step up and recognize that we have a problem, recognize that it's not inexpensive, and fix the problem? So all of that being said, the timing couldn't be better or worse, but it will be for the City Council members, once again, a recognition that we have an obligation to the people that we serve, that these infrastructure projects are not cheap, but we have got to do something about it, and we are willing to take the heat for that to occur, and we hope they are as well.